And we're back in the room once again, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the Caiman Show. A treat, as always, for you today. I have joining me on the Caiman Show. He is a former WWE superstar. He is one half of the tag team known as the Highlanders. I give you the one, the only, Robbie MacAllister. Welcome to the show, good sir.
Thanks for having me. I'm Robbie.
He is Robbie. How are you doing over there, my man?
It never gets old.
It never gets old. No, should it? No, should it? How's things over there? Everything okay?
Pretty good here in Canada. I see you're drinking some coffee. I'm having a little coffee.
Absolutely.
Maybe yours is different since it's a different time over there now.
Yeah, that's it. It's almost vodka o'clock over here, you know.
Vodka o'clock. I wish I could have vodka, but I'm almost pushing 100 days without the booze. So
hey, man, well done to you. My glasses are off to you. I don't have a hat,
I'm not quitting by any means. I do like to drink once in a while. So.
Yeah, man, let yourself go now and then. You know, I'm the same. Normally on Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays and Mondays.
No, mine was getting to be 7 days a week, and it was like, it'd be nice to have maybe one day off. Or two, maybe three.
It starts with one, doesn't it?
So it's pretty good.
Brilliant, man. Well done to you. That's awesome. You know, and also, you know, it's not cheap, particularly if you're drinking in pubs and bars and whatnot. It gets a little bit edgy on the old wallet.
Well, you know, it's funny you say that. It's really expensive in Canada, but when I was wrestling over in England for All-Star Wrestling, you know, we didn't make a lot of money, but I was able to pinch it and at least get. I was pulling off four pints for just under 10 quid.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's good. Yeah.
And over there, you don't have to tip, so you actually came home with a little change.
Exactly, man. Yeah. Oh, if someone gives you a tip over here, you think you've pulled, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's like, I've pulled. Where's my coat? You know, but yeah, it's quite tight over here actually. I always give a tip, even to the pizza delivery guy. It's like, even if it's only £1, you know, it's like, little something for yourself, sir. You know. Yeah. But so I've brought you here to Cayman land, Planet Cayman, the Cayman Show, whatever you want to call it. Been trying to get you here for a time. We have had a few technical issues, and I hold my hands up. It's been like the blind leading the bloody blind, hasn't it?
Well, technicality. I am terrible at the computer. And number one, I got my cell phone, which I don't hook up to my MacBook because my cell phone is actually paid for by work, and I don't want them to know anything on my iCloud about what I do in my personal.
Yeah, that's it. Nah, keep them separate, man. Totally separate worlds, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'm sorry I couldn't get with you a long time ago. I think I'm in a really good place right now that now's the time to start talking on podcasts, and you know, people want to hear some story of whatever happened to me or what's going on, or you know, and it's I'm very comfortable now in my own skin, in my own life, that I could talk pretty much about everything and anything, and you know, I'm smiling every day, so it's
good, man. Good man. Well, let's talk. You've come to the right place. So,
all right.
Obviously, we're going to talk about wrestling. That doesn't have to be the be all and end all, though. Okay, we can elaborate. Yep. We can move on to wherever the hell this conversation takes us. So first of all, really, just if you could just talk us through how, where, when, why you broke into wrestling. Where did you cut your teeth? Where was your start?
Well, I know as every basically your start is watching wrestling as a child. You sit there and you know, you get glued to that TV. I remember, you know, watching on Saturday mornings, and then we would be wrestling in Buddy's bedroom, or you know, and we would we would emulate who we watched on television. And back then, you know, going back, you know, Hulk Hogan, you know, back then there was guys that worked for the company like SD Jones, and you know, he always rooted for the underdog. He never lost. You know, he never won. Back in the days, the Moondogs, and there was so many guys that I always wanted to see beat the good guy, or the guy on top, and I always wanted to see Hulk Hogan get beat. You know, even though he was the ultimate good guy,
Yeah,
you just wanted to see Rowdy Piper kick his butt,
absolutely, man.
or even like whoever he was up against. You just wanted to see him lose. He had such a great title reign that you know, it was like he was the ultimate icon and nobody could beat him.
Yeah, he
And
was
then
untouchable.
all that drama hooked you in, and that's when they told real stories and it was real wrestling,
Mm.
not storytelling by a bunch of Hollywood writers. And wherever the business is going that way, in the respect of television wrestling, it's great that we still have indie wrestling and creativity for the guys that are creative, instead of someone just writing scripts for you and saying, okay, we want you to do this and we want you to do this. And you know, I don't even know what to say about that. But as for the start in the business, it was a young boy, and teenage came along, and you know, I stopped, you know, started partying and trying to chase girls, and
As one does.
the chasing girls didn't really work well for me, because in high school I was quite the introvert. I had a group of friends where I was the quiet one. Hard to believe now.
I can believe that. I was very much the same back in the day, man.
Yeah, and it's funny because I have guys that I went to high school with that actually, you know, work for the company I work for, and they say, you know, you were the guy that never said a word, and now you're the big showboat. You know, you tell stories. You're this, you're that, and you know, a lot of energy. And I'm glad I found my childhood again in my adult life.
Yeah, same year. I found it in my 20s.
that teenage life wasn't easy because, number one, I didn't get laid. I was so awkward that you know, it didn't work for me. But back to the question, you know, 18, 19, I had moved in with my uncle, and all of a sudden wrestling was on at, you know, 1 o'clock in the morning when I was staying up, and I was working an afternoon shift at a factory, and I'd come home and watch wrestling, and instantly I was hooked again. And I'd had a good friend named John Vranich. I called him Handsome Johnny V. That was like his ring name, even though he was never a wrestler. And
I got a few of them mates myself, man.
And he's a good friend of this day. And his friend Mark, we called him Furls. They came over to my house a couple times. We watched pay-per-views, and I started hanging out with them, and basically starting to come out of my shell because I was already lifting weights and on the path that I wanted to do it. And then all of a sudden I went to a couple indie shows, and as soon as I saw some of the guys on the indie show, I stood up at the railing. I was like, I'm taller and bigger than some of these guys. I'm like, there's no reason I cannot do this.
Exactly.
And I told my buddies that night, right there and then, I'm going to find a wrestling school, and I'm going to become a wrestler, because if these guys can do it, there's no way that Robbie can't do it.
Absolutely.
And Robbie can do it.
When was this?
Character.
when was this? And were there an influx of wrestling schools at that time, or was it a little more difficult to get into then?
Wrestling schools were starting to pop up. At this time, this was 1998, 99.
Yeah.
It was the height of the Attitude Era. So of course, everyone
wanted a piece of that pie.
Age, from 14 to 30 was hooked on wrestling, maybe even higher. It was so raw and raunchy that, you know, how could you not watch it?
Exactly, man. Definitely. Yeah, you had to be a part of that. Like,
it totally changed in 2000 and went a whole different direction. But I'm going back to the school. In 2000, I sought out a school, and you know, being that I lived in Woodstock, Ontario at the time, I worked at General Motors on the line, putting parts on cars. And I was like, I have to find a school. And the closest school was Cambridge, Ontario. And, you know, if you put in your search pad wrestling schools, the Hart Brothers School in Canada come up pretty fast.
Okay.
And now the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling in Cambridge was not the same Hart Brothers school that was in Calgary.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah, I'm with it. Yeah.
We're not talking dungeons and
Yeah.
you know, the guys that had went to Calgary, they got trained. Guys where I went, you know, there was a Hart brother, but it was the oldest Hart brother, and God rest his soul. Smith was a very nice guy, different to say the least. I liked him, but you know, when I first joined the wrestling school, he was picking pop cans and beer cans out of the garbage can. And I went up and met this guy named Joe Frockledge or Ike Shaw. He was the swindler behind it all. And, you know, that guy would rest a pie on his belly and eat it and talk to you. And, you know, but the whole thing about wrestling, when you just want to get in, you're drawn in by the glitz and glamour. And when I went into this, it was above a bank. You went upstairs, and no matter what, you opened up a door and there was a ring there. So you're like, oh yes, there's a ring. But then there was pictures of all kinds of old stars around. And so you're like, okay. And they also had a guy named Waldo Von Erich there who he fought Bruno Sammartino, wrestled in WWF way back in the day. He wrestled all over the world, Japan, Australia. He wasn't the Von Erich family from Texas.
All right. I was going to ask that.
He was actually one, he was from around the Cambridge area, a place called, I believe it was St. Jacobs. But he had trained in Toronto. He had went all over the world in the 60s, 70s, early 80s. He was a great guy, but he was kind of conned in by the swindle too. And, you know, it was about the charities and this and that. And so needless to say, I went to a school that was run by a shyster. But one thing you have to do in life is take your negatives and turn them into positives. And, you know, it had a ring. It had a guy that taught you how to chain wrestle, hit the ropes. And once in a while we had some guys come in, and one guy I could remember that used to beat the living tar out of us. Basically, if you screwed up, you got put in the corner and everybody chopped you. And his name was Johnny Caiman. And back in the day, he had also worked for Smoky Mountain Wrestling for Jim Cornette as Bruiser Bedlam. He'd beat guys like Macho Man and all those guys down in Smoky Mountain. He was their champion, but he was a local from Hamilton, Ontario, close to Cambridge. And you know, he'd come in and he would always bullshit with you, and he'd say, "What are you doing here, kid? You know, you're wasting your time. You got talent. Get out there, go." But the thing was, he wasn't really part of the swindle. He was a guy that came in and taught us some things.
Yeah, and he was legit.
Told us a little about the business. I never learned a lot because I was naive. But he taught us to get out there and go. And, you know, most of the wrestling schools always wanted to keep you. And,
of course they do.
We're going to teach you, and you're going to work for our shows for the next 2 years because we're going to train you. But the thing is, you have to get it. You can't stay in one place and work for one promotion and work once or twice a year or even 6 times a year. You have to get out and learn from different people. And it's just, you have to. Sometimes you might get in situations where you don't want to work with the people because, you know, maybe you saw them or you're like, oh, sometimes they're scary. Well, the first time you work someone, you maybe not so much when you first start because you want to try to do everything. But now I know that if I'm working with someone, I'm a pretty decent in-ring competitor now, and I can actually work in the ring without having to call it all.
Yeah.
And you just make sure they don't do a lot. You know, limit them.
That's my kind of match, man. That's my kind of match.
And, you know,
keep it simple for success.
Yes, it's good. It's good versus evil, or good versus bad. The psychology is you get the crowd behind the baby face. You got to get the heel to knock them down a little by cheating, hopefully, because then the crowd has a reason to boo.
Yeah,
not
absolutely.
by doing a fancy move to the guy that they're cheering for. Now it's like, well, it just got quiet because he did a fancy move. But
yeah, why don't we cheer for this guy instead? Yeah.
Yes, and then but then the crowd gets confused because the guy that's really bad's doing fancy stuff, and it going back to keep it simple. It's if you get good versus bad or that scenario, it's easy to tell a story. Or if there's a big guy and a little guy, the little guy's got to figure out how to get around the big guy, jump on top, and try to it's. If you think about fighting, I know we went all over the place, but that's
what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about.
That's my wrestling school.
Mine too.
That's where I sunk my teeth in 2000 at this Hart Brothers School of Wrestling. I ended up getting out on the road. I went to New York and all over the place in 2001, 2002, and 2003 before we started getting, at about 2003 and a half, we started getting a look at by WWE, which was very fortunate for being that green to the business and starting to get looked at. But that's because we didn't stay where we came from.
Yeah. So was Rory training with you in this same school? Or if not, where and when did you and Rory first meet? And when did the Highlanders first form? That was on the Indies, was it not?
Perfect. So I was going to the Hart Brothers School of Wrestling. I wanted to do a character based off God rest his soul, my grandfather. His name was Robert Graham Kirkcaldy, and I thought RGK would slip off the tongue pretty easy. RGK, yeah, like RVD,
Yeah, I'm with it.
Just kind of dumbness. Obviously, I had the cart before the horse, but I started training at the wrestling school. I was in decent shape. I looked like a wrestler before I started wrestling. I'd been there for maybe 3 or 4 months, and Rory come over from Glasgow, and Rory was only about 169 pounds when he came over, and we got him working out, and he started working out and getting bigger, and so it was inevitable when he came to the school that, well, there's going to be 2 Scottish guys, so why not be? It was my passion to be a Scottish guy, and it was basically, I really wanted to do something for in a way to remember my grandfather by, or to show him, because he was the entertainer in my family, and that's where, he always wanted you to bring the best out of you. I was very, for some reason, I was the life of the party when I was a kid, but I didn't want to have my picture taken. But he would be able to talk me into getting my picture taken, and he was an entertainer, a singer, and that's where it comes from. But back to the story, Rory came over, and it was inevitable. We became the tag team, and when we first went in and had the meeting with the swindler that owned the school, he wanted to be. Lo and behold, he wanted us to be Connor and Duncan McLeod.
Oh, awesome.
Hey, how about just the cheesy ripoff right from the movie?
Yeah, totally.
No, we kind of like Rory thought his name was Russ Murray, and he thought that Rory's a good Scottish, strong Scottish name.
Real strong Scottish name.
It's not something you hear over here.
Not at all, no.
Everywhere else, but in Scotland, it's a very strong name, and Robbie's a very strong Scottish name too. And Macallister's as Scottish as you get, and it rang. And I don't know how we came up with it now. I can't remember, but it was just inevitable that we became the Highlanders, Rory and Robbie Macallister, and to us it was way better than Connor and Duncan.
Yeah, definitely. No brainer, man. No brainer, 100%. It's a great gimmick. It just fits, doesn't it? The Highlanders, It don't get more Scottish than the Highlands, does it?
Yeah.
So from there, you wrestled on the Indies, 2001 to 2005, I want to say, ish.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you got the call for OVW, is that right?
We got basically when we were doing dark matches and enhancement for WWE.
Yeah,
we were there for about a year and a half, and it took a while, and they basically at one point they came and said, well, we kind of put the gun to their head and said, hey, it's nice that we're making this money. And, we were pulling in sometimes. It's not big money, but for indie wrestling, if you're pulling in between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, sometimes that was pretty decent with,
it's comfortable.
the indie paychecks on the indie pay on the weekends. And basically me and Rory, that's all we did was wrestle. Once I got let go from General Motors, I was laid off from General Motors. So I had a bunch of years to just I was blessed to actually be laid off and be able to, try the dream and live
do
it.
your thing.
Yeah. Now, I know I went off on. Can you reiterate the question again so I can get back?
Yeah, it's just how you got called up to development for OVW.
Yes. So it was about let's see, August of 2005. We got the call that we were being offered contracts from WWE. 2 nights before that, and the third night before that, we were down in I believe it was Buffalo and I believe Cleveland, and I think it was maybe not. It was somewhere around that area, and we did dark matches against the Miz and Matt Capitelli, God rest his soul. Too.
Yeah.
He's a great guy. And we did dark matches with those guys, and basically that night at the end of the second dark match, we kind of knew we were getting hired, and they gave us a call, but before we actually came, you have to go about 4 months, 5 months prior to that. They had shattered our lives by saying we'd never have jobs there, and
anyone in particular, anyone specific?
Well, John Laurinaitis, we basically pulled him aside, and we said, he was the guy that was doing the hiring and firing, and it was, I believe it was in Rochester or somewhere that way. Sometimes I can't tell the story right because I can't remember where it was, but he told us we'd never get. Well, he told Rory that we got a lot of bald guys. I don't think we need to hire you right now. If you look around my locker room, you don't stand out in my locker room. You had Kurt Angle, who was bald, not very tall, a couple other guys that were bald. So Rory was, just Rory with a little goatee. It didn't work.
Didn't cut the mustard for them, like.
Yeah. And he looked over at me, and I was a little tall, 2 to 3 inches taller than Rory. I was pretty decently jacked. I'm always in decent shape. And I look pretty good. And he says, I could probably use him in some aspect, but I don't really need to hire him either. He goes, I can take any guys, put kilts on them in OVW and call them the Highlanders. And
charming.
It was like that. It was like if you found out your girlfriend was cheating on you, that kick to the stomach.
That kick in the nuts, man.
And we had went home. We got in the car that night, drove. Obviously, I drove the wrong way for a little while. We had a long drive to think about what was going on. But by the end of that night, we said, well, if we're going to be the Highlanders, we have to be the Highlanders. Like, what do Highlanders look like? What do Highlanders, So we just decided it was time to become 14th century and grow some beards and look like maybe we would live out in the Highlands of Scotland.
So before you come to that realization, you were just called the Highlanders, were you? And just wrestling under the
called ourselves the Highlanders.
Yeah, right. And that's it. There was no gimmick as such, no beards, no fur.
I had a little goatee. Little spiky red hair, and he was bald with a little goatee.
Yeah.
And, we did wear Royal Stewart kilts in the ring.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, look at the headbangers. They were both bald, and they were wearing skirts, of course, not kilts. But they put they kind of replicated a kilt because of the tartans.
Yeah,
They
totally replicated a kilt.
but you know what I mean? It was a skirt.
Yeah,
but we actually wrestled. That was the thing that was different about us. We wrestled in the kilts. No one really wrestled in the kilt, but you know, anyone could have. And you know, like I say, and you know what? John Laurinaitis was right. He could have put kilts on anyone and said, "Go watch this movie and learn Scottish accents."
Yeah, I suppose from his standpoint where he was, yeah. But on the same hand, that's the last thing you want to bloody hear.
Oh yeah. So we ended up becoming the Highlanders, and we ended up getting the fur and newer kilts and look more like from the 14th century. Grew the hair and made it look shaggy. Put some leaves in your beard and look dirty.
Yeah, I got it.
And they gave us another shot, and they told us to go away for 4 or 5 months, and we did. And we happened to go to an indie show one weekend, and then that weekend, Tommy Dreamer was at the indie show, and he happened to be the talent relations guy. And, we had met him before and he liked us, but we weren't providing the Highlanders yet. We were providing just Derek and Russ, really, two guys wearing kilts. And when we met that weekend, we'd had the beards and I was growing the hair and he was looking scruffy. And we went in and we cut a promo, and as we cut that promo, Tommy Dreamer called Vince right away. So in the end, it wasn't. John Laurinaitis did give us another shot at 4 to 5 months and down the road, but we really had to capitalize in order to make it happen, because if we didn't come back looking like we did, I don't know what would have really happened. Maybe I went on my own. I'm not sure, because I never like to look back. It all happened. It went forward. We got the jobs, and
that's what counts in the end, though, right?
When we actually went and did those dark matches before they hired us and brought us down to VW, we came in kilts. Like me and Rory went out and rented like the whole the wedding,
the full shebang,
the sporin, the ski and do.
Yeah.
We went there, and Vince and Stephanie, when they saw us and Hunter, it was like everybody's like, "Who the hell are these guys?"
Brilliant.
We've never seen this in like 20 years, and all of a sudden we were like something, and we lit their eyes up. It's just too bad we didn't like their lot. It's too bad we couldn't have kept their eyes lit for 5 to 7, 10 years,
But something clicked there though, man. And that's that's what ignited you and gave you the start,
Yeah.
You're still with me? The screen went a bit funny then for a second.
Yours is, is my voice still coming through?
Yeah, your voice is still coming through.
Yours is clicking once in a while.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, you're freezing once in a while, but I'm still.
No worries. You're coming through. That's what counts. That's the main thing.
Okay, perfect.
You're the focus point. You're not me. He's Robbie.
So that's and then after we did those dark matches, 2 days later, my son came and woke me up at about 9:30 in the morning, and John Laurinaitis was on the phone, and he was there to offer us jobs. And he basically said, we're going to pay you $1,000 a week. We're going to move you down to OVW. You guys are going to have jobs. And then when the contracts came, it was $750 a week.
Oh, what? They dodged you out to $250 a week.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's no good, man.
But at that time, some guys in WWE developmental were only making $400. So I consider myself lucky. And what are you going to say to the company you want to work for most in the world? And when they're offering you your first gig and you're nobody.
Yeah, that's it.
You say, yeah, no, you know what? You said there's another 250 coming. That's that's a lot of money a year. I got a family. Yeah. No, you kind of just say, oh, damn.
Damn it. Okay, yeah. But I suppose on that level at that time, you wouldn't have had a lot of grounds for negotiation with that, with you. It's like, right, this is what you're having. Take it or leave it, I suppose.
Yeah. You know what? Being that Vince and Stephanie really liked us, they might have given it to us, but you never know. It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Okay,
yeah.
So OVW, how long were you wrestling in developmental for then, before you got a call to go up to WWE?
We finally got down to OVW in October, but the plans were, when we got hired, they wanted to bring us to television right away, but we couldn't get visas right away.
Right.
And if we would have actually got visas, we would have probably ended up as heels, working with Hurricane and Rosie. God rest Rosie's soul.
Yeah.
So many people would pass in this business.
I know, man. It's shocking.
And those are two good guys, and those guys would have let us work with them, but instead we got put down in OVW. And you know what? It is what it is. Everything's a learning experience. I know that we didn't think we were going to be down there that long, but technically we weren't ready to be on the main roster, I don't think. Technically, even when we went up, maybe we still weren't ready, but this business is, when your chance comes, you have to go.
And grab it with both hands.
It's either sink or swim. And, 3 years wasn't bad. So, at least I floated for a while.
Head above water, my friend. That's what it's all about. That's half the battle. If you're floating, you're not drowning.
Yeah. So, but we were there from October 05, and then we started doing house shows for WWE. We started in Hidalgo, Texas was our very first show, and we started doing the Loop in April. And we were on house shows for, I believe, 4 months before we ever debuted on television. We worked with Caden Murdoch and a couple other guys, but basically when we worked with Caden Murdoch, we worked the same match. What kind of sucked about that situation was they just, where they come from and who they're trained from, they just thought we were a bunch of nobodies, so they only let us do a few things. And another one, God rest Lance Cade's soul. I have no ill will towards Trevor Murdoch. He's still wrestling and he's doing his thing. But back then, I like to say, I was naive, and if I knew what I knew now, half the shit in wrestling would have never happened to me.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's part of it, though, and it's part of the learning experience. You can never know what you know now without going through that,
Exactly. And the thing is, it's like, that's why you don't need to look back, because life is always going forward, and there's many other things. And you know what? I think I'm richer today than I ever was in wrestling. So, and it's not rich because I'm loaded and I'm sitting on a bank. It's rich because I'm happy and I've learned a lot of things, and I know where I want to go in life.
You're in a good headspace.
Yeah.
Hey, there's no amount of money that'll account for that,
No, not at all. Not at all. And I don't need to be in a big giant house. I just need a roof over my head and enjoy my life, play my guitar, make up my characters, or do whatever it is I like to do.
Brilliant, man. Brilliant. We'll talk about the music a little later on, if we may. I wanted to touch on that with you as well, yeah? But let's... I
might even grab my guitar for you.
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. That sounds good. I might even grab mine back.
just remember, I'm just starting, so I'm not that good.
Yeah.
I'm hoping one day practice.
I've been just starting for 15 years on the guitar, right? So that's why I decided to be a vocalist instead. So
okay.
That works better.
I love vocals too.
There we are. Good stuff. We'll have a jam sometime. So I've forgotten where the hell we are now.
You just asked me about the OVW, how we got there.
Yeah, so you've started in WWE. So obviously throughout your journey in WWE, you got to work with various talents. You got to work with Cena and Randy Orton.
Yes.
How was that for you? That must have been up there.
One thing I really respect those two guys. They gave me the time of day. I feel that they liked me.
Yeah.
I wish one thing I didn't do in wrestling, and I'm pretty bad at it, is keep in touch with people. I'm not really a great politicker, but one thing I did, I had a rapport with those guys, and I feel that they liked me mutually. You know, not best friends by any means, but those are guys like when I was fortunate enough to actually get in the ring and work with Randy Orton for the seconds it was. He let me. He sold some stuff for me where other guys in WWE don't want to sell nothing for you because
it's all about them.
Yeah, and what people forget is it's a show about two people having a confrontation and putting on a good. It doesn't matter what you get in, or I know nowadays it's all scripted and it's all put out. I'm pretty sure in pay-per-views they might have more freedom, I would hope, or at least the top guys that know how to work.
Yeah.
Not the ones that are all scripted. Yeah, so I went off on a rant too again.
That's what we do, man. That's how we roll.
But Randy let me get that. That's where I believe, you know, Randy, I would talk to him walking through the airports and stuff. And then, of course, I would get away from him when all the girls and the people would want his autograph.
Yeah.
But he gave me the time of day. He talked to me. John Cena would talk to me, tell me stuff. There's a few people that would. I just wish that, you know, maybe it's not even a wish because we don't need to look back. It is what it is. But going back from learning things that I know with everything I do now going forward, you're going to, if you're going to get somewhere and be somewhere or do something, you need to keep in touch with people and keep your friendships going. And I'm terrible for keeping some friendships going. But one thing, I'm a very good natured and loving person. And I, it's not that I do bad things. You know what I mean? It's hard keeping in touch because I'm in my own world doing sales and, you know, I got to keep myself living, and living requires money. And I live on the road. So a lot of the time, so I'm away from home. So keeping in touch with your group of friends isn't as easy as, you know,
no,
but
I can relate, man. I think we're all guilty of that. Though.
Yeah. Like last night I went for a drive. I'm like, I know where a bunch of people are going to be today. So what I did was I stopped by and hung out with them for an hour and a half because I was like, this is what I need to do because I'm always on my own.
Yeah, that's it. And we're social animals, you know. We're primates at the end of the day, you know. And we got to socialize, you know, with other people. But like you were saying, keeping in touch with people, I don't think that's, you know, it's not a bad thing. Like you said, there's no malice there. I think it's just human nature. People move on. Say we're all here now. This guy might go over here. That guy might go over there. That guy might go down that path.
But when you come back together, it's
like you've never been apart.
Ill will, and you kind of just leave off where you are. But it's just you missed a bunch of years.
That's it. Yeah. That happens all the time, though.
It's not the exact same, but you still get a good feeling.
Yeah, that's it. You still get a good buzz.
It would have been nice to keep in touch more.
You know? Yeah, but I don't think it's always possible though either. You know, it's unless you.
I'm the same with family sometimes too.
Yeah, I'm exactly the same. You know, I love them all to bits, but
yep.
I've got my own shizzle going on, which I'm wrapped up in, whether it's music, wrestling, podcasting, scuba diving, motorcycling, whatever else. There's a whole other string of hobbies and interests.
We like to live.
Exactly. That's what it's all about.
People just like to watch TV and hang out. I don't like to do that.
No.
It's, you know, there's days where you do lay on the couch or do nothing.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, and living doesn't require, like for me, it doesn't require like, you know, jumping out of an airplane or anything. It's actually going for a drive or, you know, see a waterfall or see some different scenery.
Yeah, that's it. Just see a bit of the world, get some fresh air in your lungs. Embrace nature. and just we sound like a couple of old men now. Don't we?
No, I know, but the world's here for us to enjoy.
Exactly. Here's to enjoying it.
Yep.
Clink, clink. Oh, that vodka's good. Oh, so
you're just tempting me to drink.
Nah, it's water, mate. You're all right. It's only water.
Oh, okay.
It's too early in the day for me. So you've got to work with many names in WWE. So Cena and Orton were just a couple of them. You also got to work with one of my all-time heroes, Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Jim Duggan is one of the most awesome guys I've ever met in wrestling.
He comes across that way.
I spent time on the road with him. He stayed at my house before. You know, I used to run my own promotions and book him for weekends. He is, well, there's some times where he's a bear, like in the morning or after a night of some vodkas.
Yeah.
But he's just a genuine nice guy to have around when it comes to the kids, the people, and everything. He brings smiles to everybody's faces, and to be able to spend time with him, and then I'm very blessed to be able to hang out with him for 6-8 months and spend time with him, wrestle with him in the ring, and it just that is just like a childhood dream come true, to be able to hang out with him, and just it was something else. And it's weird that I feel more, you know, there's other guys too, but I think I just spent more time with him and more personable. It was more personable.
Nice, man.
He's a great
nice
guy.
Nah, I've always thought he seems you can tell sometimes, you know, you can tell who's who just by looking at your TV screen sometimes, and he's always, since the 80s when I first started watching him, he's always come across that way, you know. It's like you can see beyond the character, and it's just like, I just know there's a good guy in there. So I just wanted to ask you what he was like and what it was like working with him as well.
100% great guy, but like I say, there's a couple times he can be a bear, but you know what? He spent 50 something years. He's got to be 70 something, maybe 16. I don't know his exact age, but he spent over 45 years on the road. And there's days I'm on the road and I want a hotel, and it's like, I want it now. And then all of a sudden, like, sorry, sir, we're booked. And you're like, what the? No, what? And then all of a sudden, you're driving around yelling inside the truck or the vehicle, and you're like, one other time, I got a great hacksaw story. We booked him in a town called Morrisburg, Ontario.
Yeah.
There was about 500 people at the show. It was a good, successful show, and he was the main guy, and he had to get back to I believe it was a Syracuse airport, and the guy we had drive him, he was kind of shady, and all of a sudden he got turned around at the border because the guy that was driving him over, couldn't do it. And then I had to talk Rory into taking him. But when he came back, that I never heard the guy yell so much. When Rory was driving away, he was and I was like, yep, he's mad tonight, and he gets over it. We can all be a bear once.
Well, of course, it's human nature at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
We all have our rough days. We all have our smooth days, you know? It's just taking the rough with the smooth. That's what it's all about. But, so how was he in the ring as well to work?
Jim's great in the ring. He likes his clotheslines.
Yeah.
Very easy to work with. One thing, if you notice, when Jim gets, when you're putting the heat on Jim Duggan, he rolls away from you and then gives you an opening to hit him or do something. A lot of guys don't actually open up for you anymore. It looks like you're crowding a guy because he doesn't open up his ribs to give, you know, to lay a stomp in there or something. Jim's always moving in the ring. He's always opening up so the crowd can see you go and kick him, and just so easy. So
brilliant stuff. Oh, we're constantly making spaces for you to fill with your feet.
Yep. Just create a space so the crowd can feel like, oh, he's getting away from the bad guy. And then all of a sudden the bad guy goes, he's reaching for the rope. The bad guy comes, and they can see it perfectly that he's going to get kicked. They kick him. they're already anticipating because they know the bad guy's going to kick him in the ribs because he's just, oh my God. You always hear, before the, but he knows how to create everything to make the crowd, get right into it.
Interact,
and that's what's really good about the old timers. They really worked. They didn't wrestle. They worked. They created space and really knew how to draw the people into the drama of what was going on in their story.
And that's what's key. That's what's key, in my opinion. Definitely. So you wrestled on the last ever Heat as well, did you not?
Yes, I did.
You had the last main event in Heat.
Yes, and that was with
Charlie Haas.
Charlie Haas.
Yeah. And how was that? And how was Charlie to work?
Me and actually, at that time, Charlie had a lot of. I believe he was getting. He was starting to respect me. He gave me a lot of stuff in that match. We went, I think, 12 or 13 minutes in that match.
Yeah, something like that. I watched it the other day.
And Heat matches didn't really go that long. We were the main event. Of course, he was a little more in the back pockets of all the agents backstage. He was a wrestler, knew how to play the politic game. So I didn't get to win, of course, but he was just in the middle of trying to push this super, with the mask he was using. And believe it or not, it was kind of funny. But yeah, I did lose to him, but I got to get some stuff on him, and I got to have a real match. It was nice. It's nice and it's a shame that I really got to really hone my craft after WWE, or at the end of my career, I was really starting to learn how to be a good worker and really start to get it, and then got let go. But it is what it is.
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a moment if you're game for it.
Oh, I about anything.
But right, so throughout your wrestling career, if you could pinpoint a specific moment as your finest, your best, the highlight of your career, can you pin it down to one or not?
It would probably be about 4 to 5, I think. I can't pinpoint one moment as the best.
Give me 4 to 5 then. That's fine. I got all day.
So I think the Highlanders' biggest match came in Durban, South Africa. We weren't even really on television much, but we were on a South African tour, and we had fought, I believe on one of the shows, it was Kendrick and was it Kendrick in London? Yeah, it might have been Kendrick in London. And then we ended up, we were just in the start of turning heels, but we weren't on television or anything. So instead they changed it. And one night we worked Paul Burchill and Dave Taylor.
Yeah. Brilliant.
And that, it was really fun. And then that night, me and Dave Taylor, that was I believe it was Cape Town, South Africa. Me and Dave Taylor went out and got plastered, annihilated. We were out till, I'd say good 6:30, maybe 7 in the morning.
Man after my own heart.
and we had to catch a plane at like 9:30, and we all caught the plane, and we flew to Durban, South Africa. And this is a memorable match for me because it was a main event. But when we got to the arena, the promoter that had brought the show over, or had bought the show from WWE, he didn't have rain insurance, and it didn't really rain much in Durban, I guess. But that night they were calling for rain, and they had to get the promoter needed a 90-minute show. Or if it wasn't a 90-minute show and they had to cancel, he had to give their money back, and he didn't have insurance. Something to do about no rain insurance or something. So they couldn't cancel the show. So Ricky Steamboat came up. He was our producer or agent at the time, and he said to us, "Yeah, we're gonna cut your match tonight, guys." And me and Dave Taylor are like, "Yeah, we don't have to wrestle. We're so hungover." And you know, it was a tennis stadium, 15, 30,000 people. I can't remember what it was. And you know, this is great, but you know, you're on a tour, you're getting cut. It kind of sucks, but in a way, me and Dave Taylor were so hungover that it was like a blessing. And then so the show goes on. It looks like it's going to rain. The clouds are swirling. And then all of a sudden, Cena and I can't remember who were on. And they were just going out to start. And Ricky Steamboat comes up. He says, "Guys, yeah, it's not going to rain. So you guys get your gear on. You guys are going to all go out and do the main event."
No.
And we went out and we did a 25-minute main event and tore the house down in Durban, South Africa. It was the Scottish versus the English.
Yeah.
And in South Africa, they get it.
Brilliant.
They get the Scottish versus, you know.
Of course they do. Yeah.
It's been a rivalry for
centuries. Yeah, centuries.
So the storytelling of Scotland, I know it's South Africa. And it's, you know, they're more Dutch and everything, and there's some English down there, but just they just ate it up, and we did 25, 30 minutes, and we tore the house down. And you know, when we went back into the bus, John Cena had a beer for me right away, and I just said to him, I'm like, "Beat that." It was the most electrifying thing. And that's very memorable to me because it was a WWE main event.
Brilliant.
But then there's a couple other times, you know, doing an 8-man tag in Scotland with Piper and Flair against the squad. So brilliant. Ric Flair wearing Rory's kilt, you know, Piper, that's dream moments, but not like that main event match.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And it wasn't meant to be either, you know, it wasn't meant to be. And it's only the fact that Mother Nature intersected that she made that happen for you, you know, at the end of the day.
Yeah,
so.
and it was the best. It was probably like the crowd was electrifying. It was like no other feeling. And then there's another time in Japan, we wrestled in the Budokan, and we wrestled. It was me and Rory went extreme for one night only, and our tag team partners were Tommy Dreamer and Sandman against the Spirit Squad in Japan.
Brilliant.
And that night the crowd didn't sit on their hands. They were like an American crowd, and we tore the house down. And the funniest thing I remember about that match is Tommy Dreamer had Johnny Jeter in the middle of the ring in like a step over toe hold or something, and then Jeter farted.
Little things.
But electrifying crowd, and we tore the house down so much. I think it actually got some other. Well, Tommy Dreamer said, "Yeah, there's going to be some people really upset with us," but it was Japan. We knew none the better. Like, I'm going to say, I was very naive in the wrestling business. I didn't learn until there was the lessons I learned there that made me a smarter person.
That's it.
At knowing that maybe I should have bent some ears, been in, you know, I should have tried to do stuff, but it doesn't matter. We're in life now, and where we are today is where we're supposed to be, because it's just life's plan. And believe it or not, we subconsciously choose a lot of our own paths. You know, it's just whether we realize it or not. We say getting fired from WWE was a subconscious mind thing, you know.
Well, let's go there.
Okay, sure.
Let's go there then.
Okay.
So obviously, go on. I'll just pass it over to you. So just for people watching and listening, the gist of it is, you were camera shot at the TNA event. You had a call. So I don't know how long after. Basically,
it was pretty much right away.
Yeah.
I got an inside text that says you should get the hell out of here from someone at TNA. I won't mention any names.
Yeah.
So I did, but there's a lot going on before that whole incident.
Give us the story then from the start there.
we had been with WWE for almost 3 years now, I guess. We had, I want to say about 6 months prior to WrestleMania, we had been re-signed again for another 3 years. But uh, from what I know about getting re-signed, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be there.
Mm.
You know, for example, didn't they just re-sign Braun Strowman not too long ago to a big deal, and then they just released him?
That's it. Off he goes.
So
Yeah.
it's I think it's a mind game they play. Sometimes I don't know. One thing I do know about one thing I've learned in life is some people that have money, they have little mind games they like to play and like to, let's see how far we can drag this guy around. Let's see how far this guy can carry my bags every day. Or, it's just people with power can, I'm not saying abuse it, but do what they like because they can do whatever they want. And is it wrong? Is it right? Who knows? Maybe yes. I don't know. But going back to it, we got signed. I think maybe November we got signed again before the incident. But in January, all of a sudden we started going back on the road. And when we were going on the road, we were working the guys coming out of FCW or at that time, because I think OVW was kind of being tailed away.
Yeah.
We were working the major boys, the major brothers came up. One was, why can't I remember their names? They're on my Facebook. But anyways, it doesn't matter. We started working all the guys coming up and losing to them on house shows. And it's like, okay, well, we were kind of stars before, but now we're enhancing everybody else. And now we're just guys that were stars that can enhance people, which isn't a bad gig to make people look good. Not a bad gig. But as it kept going, all of a sudden we're on the TVs on Monday. There's Umaga in 2 minutes. I saw that a couple weeks ago. And having Rory laying on his back and then having Umaga put me down and then grab me, and my crotch is in my face is in Rory's crotch and Rory's face. That's starting to make fun of us.
Yeah.
So that's a bad feeling when you're backstage. Oh, well, that sucked. I know it's Umaga, we're gonna lose, but now we're just getting
there's losing and there's losing. Yeah,
we're getting ridiculed. And then maybe a couple midget incidents or little people incidents where getting pinned by little people, and basically just being a mockery, and everybody's just, we're technically the Stooges. And I've saw before with many other tag teams that you end up becoming the pieces of crap that they're gonna toss into everybody that beat up. Now I know then so technically we were on our way out. When you're losing like that, technically you got to know you're on your way out. WrestleMania is coming up. What do they do after WrestleMania?
Oh yeah, they have a clear out, don't they? Yeah, always.
So you think, well, the Highlanders will probably be in that, maybe that 10 to 12 guys or whatever it is. But the WrestleMania thing came along. I wasn't very happy at my job. I wasn't happy at all. I actually hated working there anymore. It just not good feelings. I didn't want to go to work on Monday when they were flying me into TVs. I didn't want to go to work on Monday.
Yeah, that's not good.
And then one of the matches, Rory got injured. So, and that was prior to WrestleMania. He tore his pec, and that was against Fit Finley and Hornswoggle.
Yeah,
and of course we lost. But Rory got injured, and I'm pretty sure at WrestleMania we were going to be gone right after. But I think Rory's injury saved us. Because
thank heavens for small mercies,
it's not really nice to let someone go while they're injured. And after that I went into TV. I was doing dark matches, putting guys over. I'd done some I think I was even on TV. JBL beat me up in less than a minute. So that now that I look at it, probably showing up at the TNA thing was the way to get, it was my way of getting fired, but it was a subconscious. I don't, I didn't, it's not like I maliciously said, I'm going to go do this to get fired. I just, sometimes I'm dumb and I don't think about the consequences of the things, but in the end, I probably did subconsciously know it was going to put the nail in the coffin, but it was a weird thing. I shouldn't have did it, but I did it, and there's nothing
It
I can do
happened, man.
about it.
It happened. There's nothing anyone can do about that.
And you know what? I didn't get me and Rory didn't get let go until August. So we got 6 months more.
Yeah, there we are, you know.
But like I say, I believe it was probably a tool to get fired, and my life became better after.
Yeah, well, that's the main thing, isn't it? Like you said earlier on, sometimes you pick your own path without knowing you're picking it. So perhaps that's one of those occurrences, you know?
Yeah, and everything happens in life for a reason. And
absolutely, I'm a firm believer.
Exactly where we are because we've picked it subconsciously somehow. Maybe we don't know why we're here, but or at this point, but it just is what it is. And my life's pretty good. So since I've learned to accept all those things, life gets easier. And it's like, you do have a down day. I 2 days ago, I don't know, I got this beautiful house that I lived here with someone, and I went out and cut the grass, and it's like, I don't want to cut the effing grass anymore. I'm like, I don't live here. I don't spend time in my yard. Why am I doing this? But
yeah.
I got over it. It's just had to get over a little.
That's it. It's just that first hurdle, isn't it? It's like when the alarm clock goes off in the morning, do you press the snooze button or do you not? You know, it's like, I'm going to press snooze.
Don't do it. You know,
alarm.
I don't get up to the alarm. I just wake up.
That's it, man. Well, great. You know, if you could do that, that's fantastic. Yeah. You're an early riser as well, then, you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were when we were talking times, you know.
Yeah, sometimes I like to go to bed late too, and I still get up early.
Yeah, fair play. Excellent stuff. Excellent. I tend to get up when I wake up and it's light, you know. So, yeah, bed is a dark place.
Yeah.
In a visual sense, that's all, you know.
Yeah.
So life after wrestling, then. So you still keep your foot in, yeah? You're still doing a bit.
COVID kind of took a foot out, but yeah, I would like to, when things open up here in Canada, I would like to get onto some shows or just at least put my kilt on, go sign some autographs, get some pictures and make a few bucks that way. I want to take another turn in life. Like I say, I'm doing sales now and I'm ready. I know I'm starting to chomp at the bit for the next thing in my life. I don't really know exactly what that is, but I'm trying to set myself up in a situation where I could get myself in a situation, while I am in a situation where, we're in a hell of a real estate market in Canada where I can sell my house and go buy something somewhere else, be mortgage free, have a pile of money in the bank, and I could go work part-time if I wanted. So therefore I could actually go back and do some shows and make a few bucks that way. Within the next 2 to 3 years, I'm not in a situation where I need lots of money to live. I'm going to be comfortable for my life. And that's a pretty good feeling too.
Definitely, man. If you're comfortable, you're happy, you know?
I'm always going to work. So whatever I do, I could probably even rent my house out but then I have to pay rent somewhere else. So it'd be better to just buy something and go somewhere else and not have a mortgage.
Mortgage free sounds awesome, man. That sounds great.
So and my goal right now is I'm 48, and my goal has been for the last while is mortgage free at 53. So
you can do it.
It's coming along.
Little goals, man. Little goals. Yeah. Good, man. Excellent. So we talked earlier on about the music. What's the situation there? When did you get into that? So where are you going with it? Talk us through it.
So back in 2013, my wife actually said, or my ex-wife now, she said it's time to pack it in, and it kind of hurt. And at that time, I was kind of in a downturn because wrestling was still there, but it wasn't paying the bills like it was. Having a little downward spiral of what's next and fighting with your brain and having, you know, mixed emotions in your head. I was seeing this guy, little for a little spiritual guidance, I guess. He always told me there was nothing wrong with me, but there's a few things I think.
I can relate, my man. I can relate.
But it was 2013. He says you need to, you know, if you are going to get away from wrestling and you're going to go into something else, he goes, you need to just occupy yourself with something. He says you should get a guitar. So I went and bought a guitar at the pawn shop, and for about until 2019, I probably played it like maybe for the first 5 years, I played it 10 hours a year.
Yeah.
Which is a couple little plucks. And then when COVID came, I might have played it a little before I got in my last relationship, but that was a rotten thing. And she built me up and then basically tore me down. So basically I had talent, then I didn't have talent. But like I say, that was a toxic thing. I learned from that. But when that all ended, after that toxic relationship, when COVID came around, I started picking it up. I started doing characters, playing more guitar, and I just make up my own music. I don't play a lot of other people's music. I don't know a lot of chords.
Yeah.
But I just, you know, I pluck away, and now I'm actually playing it more. I take it on the road with me. You know, when I come home, sometimes it's the first thing I want to do. I just go grab it.
Awesome, man. That's when you know you've clicked with music. When you're like that, you've got to have it. Yeah. Where's the guitar now?
It's right over here.
Go grab it. Good man. Good man. Let's show me what you got.
I got an Epiphone Hummingbird. It's got beautiful sound.
Nice, man. Let's hear it.
Song I'm working on right now, it goes like this though. It goes, my first career, it wasn't no big thing. It was driving down the road, working in a wrestling ring. It brought me around the world, and it gave me fame. And then one thing happened, TNA incident. No one knew my name. Whoa, let it go. I screwed up.
Hey, man, we all screw up, man. That's good. It sounded great, man. That sounded great. Fantastic. Have you finished that song, or is it one you're working on?
So all the next verse is, opportunity came that I had to snatch. It put me back on the road, selling machines with tracks. It brought me around the world all over again, and it provided me with everything. Whoa, let it go. On to the next show. If you don't try now, you ain't ever gonna know. Dreams come alive, yeah, when you learn to let go. And then the last
that's
verse
wicked,
goes,
man.
The last verse goes, living my life before I get too old. I'm going to take my chance, get back on the road, live out my dreams I've always had, learning from my life's past.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
Let it go on to the next show. Same
songs
thing.
with meanings. Songs with meanings.
It's
brilliant.
It's beautiful. Of my life.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Well done. No, you're playing really good too. You're playing sounds really good, man.
It's hard to play in front of you.
Yeah.
I film it once in a while on video. But when I actually did that song for the first time on a recording, I sent it to a couple guys, and one's a professional musician, and he basically said, you need to keep practicing that. And that, he goes, that song's going to be something.
It's good.
Goes,
it's good. It is really good.
You practice, we're going to go somewhere with it. And it's cool because he's a professional musician. I'm just a starter. And he came out with a positive right away. He goes, so, after he said we have to record, he's like, yeah, you're going to have to work on your guitaring and everything. And you're new and you're choppy. And I'm like, yeah, but you said you did it the right way. You came out with the positive first and then gave you the
that's it, isn't it? Exactly.
Your criticism and then don't ever give you the positive. And you're like, what? No.
Nah, good stuff. It sounded great, man. So where are you going with it then?
I wish I could have played it better for you. But.
No, you will, man. You will. Well, we'll do another one on other stuff and everything. Sure. As things go on, if you want to come on, we'll do one just on music and as well. Perhaps I'll grab my guitar out and make a holy show out of myself as well. Here we are. We'll have a jam of sorts.
We can make up like dumb stuff, like you said. You do comedy music.
Absolutely, yeah. I did during lockdown. Yeah. What was the one? It was. They went hand gel, bog roll, minced beef pies and sausage rolls, frozen chips, Weetabix, Kit Kat, Mars bar, packet of Twix, etc. It's just listing all the shopping of these panic buyers are buying, and then the chorus is, stay in and watch your TV. The longer you don't, we're not free. Please don't be a selfish prick. Just stay indoors, you in dicks. Yeah, so... Good stuff, man. It's better with the guitar strumming as well. But
I wrote one in another room. I wrote a funny one about a girl.
Yeah, is that one for here or one for another day?
One of the lines was something about a beat up like a leather mitt.
Nice. Good stuff, man. Sounded great, man. Yeah, but. I'm up for that. If you're up for a jam sometime, we'll just have
yeah, we will.
100%, man. We'll have a mess about. Yeah. Right, before I let you go to get on with your day, any plugs, shout outs, acknowledgements you want to get in before we wrap it up, good sir?
I'd just like to thank you for having me on your podcast.
It's been a pleasure.
Lots of people listen, and I do have a lot of stuff going on. I got my music. I don't know if you know about my characters. I got a bunch of characters.
I do, but tell the people watching and listening.
On my Facebook, I'm not going to be able to add you on my Facebook, but you can go to Derek Robbie Macallister Couch. Scroll my wall and see Bobby, Jacques, Sherlock. There's all kinds of characters. If you scroll back to last year, going back to your panic buying, I did a 4-part series with Robbie. A guy named Willie Robertson. Willie Robertson is a thief character of mine. He's such a thief. He stole the T out of his last name. It's Robertson, not Robertson.
Brilliant.
But the story behind that is I met a guy one time on the road, and we were having some drinks in a like a truck stop bar. And he told us a story about how his family came over from Scotland, but they were hiding, so they dropped the T in their name so no one would find them.
That'll do it. That's great. That'll do it by any means necessary, right?
But so Willie Robertson's a scoundrel, and it's during the toilet paper thing, and Jacques Sherlock comes in and solves the case. Willie Robertson stole the toilet paper. So
awesome. Fantastic.
But I do the characters were a good way of after a bad relationship, a great way of healing myself. It brought great joy. It made a lot of people laugh. COVID really sucked, and a lot of people enjoyed what I was doing. Lots of people saw it. It's something I still want to do, but I would rather do that on another level to get paid for. I'll do it. I won't necessarily film it anymore. I'll just do it when I'm around people, make them laugh.
Yeah.
But you can check out Derek Robbie Macallister Couch, or you can check out at Highlander Robbie on Instagram.
Excellent stuff. At Highlander Robbie on Instagram, and Derek Robbie Macallister Couch on Facebook. They can't do now. They can follow you though. Yeah.
Yeah, they can just. It's just my regular page. I don't even have a followers page, but it's open for anyone to see. So
brilliant.
And usually the people drop off on Facebook, so I just keep adding more people.
Yeah, Fantastic.
So, a load. So.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. It's been a genuine pleasure chatting to you.
It's been a pleasure coming on today.
Excellent. So thank you so much. We'll hook up about our music, definitely.
Absolutely.
We'll keep in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, Robbie Macallister.
I'm Robbie.
He's Robbie. Woohoo!